The rain had been falling for hours, steady and cold, blanketing the quiet streets of Elmwood in a shimmering gray mist. Inside Stella's diner, the warmth of frying pans and clinking cutlery offered a fragile refuge from the world outside. The neon sign buzzed faintly above the windows, casting a red hue across the puddles on the sidewalk. Emily Sanders stood behind the counter, towel in hand, cleaning coffee mugs that never seemed to stay clean. She was 26, sharp-eyed and soft-voiced, with a resilience that never announced itself but lived in her every breath. Her ponytail had started the day tight, but now it drooped low against her neck, like the rest of her. Another night. Another shift. The booth in the corner had been empty since 6 p.m., and the jukebox hadn't worked since February. She barely noticed when the bell over the door jingled and a man slipped in for a cup of coffee or a slice of pie. What she noticed now were the little things, the slow drip of the leaking faucet behind the counter, the way the rain struck the window at a slant, and how quiet the street was. At exactly 9:43 p.m., the quiet shattered. An ambulance screamed down the street, cutting through the storm like a blade. The flashing lights lit up the wet pavement, reflecting against the glass of the diner. A moment later, the vehicle screeched to a halt outside and the doors slammed open. 2 paramedics rushed through the entrance, rainwater pouring off their jackets, carrying between them a man whose shirt was soaked in red. "Clear a space!" one of them shouted. Emily dropped her rag, rushing around the counter. "What happened?" she asked. "He was in a car crash. Massive blood loss. Closest hospital's 10 minutes out. He won't make it unless we stabilize him here." They laid him across 2 chairs pushed together. His face was pale, dangerously so. His eyes were closed, lips blue, breath shallow. "Does anyone here have AB negative blood?" the younger paramedic asked, urgency cutting through his breath. "Anyone?" The few patrons looked around nervously. No one spoke. Emily's voice was small. "I do." "You sure?" She nodded. "AB negative. I know. I donate when I can." The paramedics glanced at each other, then sprang into action. "We can't waste time. We'll draw directly from you into him. You okay with that?" "I'm okay. Do it." One paramedic moved to prep her arm while the other kept pressure on. The man's wound. Emily's heart hammered in her chest, not from fear for herself, but from the realization that someone was dying less than 3 feet away, and her blood might be the only thing standing between him and death. The needle pricked her skin. Her blood began to flow through the clear tubing and into the man's arm. She watched it like a lifeline, red and vital. His breathing began to ease. His lips lost their blue tinge. He was handsome, she noticed distantly. Even unconscious something about him radiated strength. His brow was furrowed in pain, but his jaw was solid, lips slightly parted. His fingers twitched faintly. Within 15 minutes, they had what they needed. "You probably saved his life," the medic said, taping her arm and gently removing the tube. "Thank you, really." They lifted the man again, loading him into the back of the ambulance. Doors slammed, sirens wailed again, disappearing into the storm. And just like that, he was gone. Emily sat in the booth, her head light, arm bandaged. The other customers returned to their meals. The world spun on. No one came back to tell her what happened. The next day there was no call, no follow-up, no name. Just another shift, more coffee, more tiredness. She never even knew who he was. Weeks passed. Her life returned to its usual rhythm, slow, repetitive, predictable. She worked the late shifts, studied on her breaks, and counted every dollar with the precision of someone who had never been able to afford to make mistakes. Nursing school remained a dream just slightly out of reach, like a train always pulling out of the station as she ran after it. She had almost convinced herself it didn't matter. Then, on a quiet Thursday night, a man walked into the diner. Emily didn't look up at first. She was juggling 2 orders, scribbling into her notepad, pouring a coffee refill with her free hand. Her voice came out on autopilot. "Welcome to Stella's. Sit wherever you like. I'll be right with you." The man didn't reply. He just walked slowly to the booth in the corner, the same one where he had almost died, and sat down. She approached the table 5 minutes later, pen in hand. "What can I get you?" she asked, not lifting her gaze yet. "I'm not here for food," he said. Something in his voice made her look up. Her breath caught. It was him. He was wearing a sleek navy coat over a crisp shirt. His hair was neatly cut, though still damp from the rain. His gray eyes were calm, focused on her. "You," she whispered. "You remember me." "You were unconscious," she said, stunned. "I didn't even know your name." "Ethan Wolfe," he said, offering his hand. She shook it, more from instinct than intention. His grip was warm, strong. "I came to thank you. I've been trying to find you for weeks. I didn't do anything special. You gave me blood. On the spot. Without knowing who I was, or what had happened. That's not nothing." She swallowed. "You look better." "Alive, at least," he smiled. There was a quiet moment. Then, without another word, he reached into his coat pocket and placed a small velvet box on the table. She stared at it, confused. "I'm not proposing," he said with a faint smile. "Open it." Inside were 2 keys and a folded deed. "What is this?" "The car outside is yours. The apartment you live in, paid off. I tracked down your landlord. The check inside will cover nursing school, and some breathing room." She stared at him. "Why would you do this?" "Because you didn't ask for anything, and still gave everything." She shook her head, pushing the box toward him. "I can't. I didn't save you to get repaid." "I know. That's why you deserve it." She couldn't speak. Her throat burned. "I'm hosting a benefit gala this Friday," he said softly, standing up. "It's for blood donation awareness. I'd like you to come, as my guest." Her eyebrows rose. "Like a date?" "Just come," he said. "Please." Then he turned and left. She didn't know what made her say yes, but she went. The dress arrived on Friday morning, wrapped in tissue, with a handwritten note that simply read, "No one forgets the person who saved their life." It fit perfectly. Midnight blue, satin, elegant in a way that didn't pretend. At exactly 7, a black car pulled up outside her apartment. She stepped inside, her nerves dancing across her skin. The gala was in a glittering rooftop ballroom. Chandeliers sparkled. String music played beneath a hum of laughter and clinking glasses. Ethan met her at the door, in a tuxedo that looked like it had been made for him that morning. He smiled the moment he saw her. "You look beyond words." She blushed. "You clean up okay too." He led her through the ballroom. Everyone wanted to talk to him. He introduced her. "This is Emily Sanders." He never once said waitress. "Only the woman who saved my life." She barely recognized herself in the polished mirrors lining the walls. Midway through the night, he stepped onto the stage, raising a hand for silence. The crowd quieted. "2 months ago," he began, "I was in a car accident. I nearly died. I lost a dangerous amount of blood. I wouldn't be here if a stranger hadn't given me her own blood, right there in a diner, no questions asked." He turned to her. "Emily Sanders, you didn't know who I was. You didn't wait for thanks. You just helped. Tonight, I want everyone to know your name, and what a quiet hero looks like." Applause erupted. She stood frozen, not knowing whether to cry or laugh or hide. Then Ethan did something no one expected. He knelt. Not with a ring, with a single rose. "I don't expect anything," he said quietly, just to her, "but I can't ignore what I feel. That night changed everything for me. Maybe we could find out where this goes?" Her voice trembled. "You're crazy." "Maybe." She reached out, took the rose, helped him to his feet, and smiled. Year passed. In the sunlit halls of the new Wolf Tech Children's Hospital, a nurse walked with easy confidence. Her name tag read, Emily Wolfe. She checked vitals, soothed crying children, and held a tiny infant in her arms before passing her to a new mother. Her steps led her to the lobby, where Ethan stood waiting. His eyes lit up at the sight of her. "How's our little CEO?" he asked, placing a hand on her rounded belly. Kicking. Think he wants out already. They stepped into the courtyard, beneath blooming cherry trees. He pulled her close. She laughed. They had built something from blood, from gratitude, from one miraculous moment. Sometimes love begins not with words, but with action. Sometimes a life is saved, and sometimes that life turns around and saves yours right back.